It's part one of our series with the great Russ Ballard. This guy has been influencing me since the early 70s. And as I mentioned in this clip, just like All Right by Free, an era of Grand Funk and Creedence Clearwater Revival, post-Beatles, Hold Your Head Up by Argent was one of those songs that really stood for that time. We talk about that classic rockin' tune with the man who sang it, Russ Ballard, on Rock History Music. From the region of Hertfordshire, England, Russ Ballard quietly became one of the most influential forces in rock and pop music. Not by chasing the spotlight, but many times fueling it for others. Born on October 31st, 1945, Ballard first made waves in the late 1960s as the lead singer and guitarist for Argent, co-writing and singing the big hit Hold Your Head Up from the band's third album, All Together Now. They had a few songs that got a lot of airplay. Sweet Mary in 71, Hold Your Head Up was from 72. It was followed by Tragedy the same year, and the rock anthem God Gave Rock and Roll to You. As a solo artist, he built a cult following with albums like his self-titled in 74, which included I Don't Believe in Miracles, which would later be recorded by Zombies lead singer Colin Blunstone, and Canadian C.B. Victoria. In 76 came Winning, which featured the title song, which would become a hit later for Santana. There was also Since You've Been Gone, that would later be a hit for Rainbow. Ballard got a lot of airplay in 1980 with Barnett Dogs, and the hit On the Rebound. Another big album, The Fire Still Burns in 1985, which included the title song and Dream On. But behind the scenes, Ballard was shaping rock radio as a songwriter for hire. He penned New York Groove, which helped Ace Frehley become the most successful Kiss member in the late 80s to record a solo album. He wrote So You Win Again for Hot Chocolate, as mentioned, Winning for Santana. I Know There's Something Going On for Frida of ABBA. You Can Do Magic for America, and another one for Rainbow, I Surrender. While never being a main household name, the rockers know who Russ Ballard is. His fingerprints are all over classic rock. He is the man behind the hits, the voice you've heard 100 times. Quietly prolific and eternally underrated. Russ Ballard, easily an architect of the 70s and 80s and beyond. Hold Your Head Up was one of those quintessential early 70s songs that I find helped shape that decade.
Yeah, I think it did. I think it did at that time. I tell you what happened. We played in Germany to get the band together, 69. We were doing 7 45-minute spots a night for 2 weeks. This is a side story, actually. I said to this guy called Ziggy, how do bands get through this? Playing 7:45, and at weekends 9. Played in the afternoon as well. Played on the Leopoldstrasse. You know, he said, how do you get through? How do bands get through? He said, you go to the apotheke. You go to that's a drugstore. You go to the apotheke. You buy the anine pills. You take them with the beer. You know, so we go down there. We said to the pharmacy, we want anine pills. And she says, would you like 10, 20s, or 100? Oh, we'll take 100, you know. And it's pure speed. We didn't know. He said, you take them with the beer. Gone. And I didn't know until years later that it was pure speed. And the doctor I was seeing said to me, he was American, you know, living in London. He was the Christian Scientist guy. He said, Russ, those tablets, they are pure speed. You could have a heart attack just like that. You know, he was doing this, so we didn't take them anymore. But I don't think that helped my depression very much, to be honest.
One thing I noticed, and one of the reasons I got into drumming was when Hold Your Head Up High, when I heard him hitting the snare on the offbeat, I don't know why I'd never heard that before. And go, I like that. That
never been done. That never been done, as far as I know. That it's a great feel. There's a lot of space in it, which is great. A lot of space in the lick.
People don't talk about space in music that much.
No, but that's the thing. Yeah, it's what you don't put in that's magic, isn't it? You know?
But sometimes people have this little old me thing. Oh, it's just me. But with someone like you, you always have people reminding you how great you are because, listen, you're one of those guys that really made a difference in my life, an awful lot. But is there a part of you that sometimes goes, well, it's just me? Well, what?
Yeah, I know what you mean. I think I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a strange one, isn't it? It's just, but it's the music, you know, when people, because music, you know, songs are become part of you, don't they? You know, they're part of your, just like, I don't know, having a potato, having sort of French fries, you know, and you eat it and it becomes part of you. Music's just the same, you know, it's just the same. And you remember things, you know, you hear a song and you cast back to where, you know, 30 years before and more.
Yeah.
Crazy, but it's very important.
This is a unbelievable record. I mean, it sounds amazing. Your vocals sound amazing. The tunes are great. Is there a part of you that goes, it's not bad being this age. You know, I can do this really well. How do you feel about putting this record together?
If you keep yourself fit, which I do, I mean, I'm fit. I run every day. I ran this morning. I usually run in the afternoon, but I've had things to do today. Uh, I keep fit. I'm vegan. I've been vegan for 20 years. I've been vegetarian for like 44 years. So I haven't had meat for 40, 44, 45 years. So, I mean, I've been very, very conscious of being healthy and thinking, well, you know, my family have, well, at least my mother's side have lived long lives. And, you know, they're very conscious of, you know, my mum was 90, her brother was 98 and he fell over. But I said to him, you know, you're going to live to 100 easily, you know. He said, I'm ancient, Russ. I said, yeah, but, you know, I said, what's the secret, you know? And he was just amazing. So I think, and he was also fit. And he said, I don't think I worry, Russ. I think worry is a big problem as you get older. If you want to worry, you start concentrating on, you start focusing on getting older. Well, I don't, you know, I don't want to slow down. I want to do more. I want to do, you know, I've made these two records, this double album, call it a double album, made that in last year and the year before. That was all done basically. Don't slow down, keep running, don't stop. You know, I think it was Clint Eastwood said, "Don't let the old man in."
I don't believe in miracles. What can you tell me about that tune?
Well, I played on that. I played on Colin's one, and Rod. It was Argent. We were back in Colin on it. You know, I did the demo, basically the same. I played piano on that. The red dan 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 dan. But I wrote that as I was coming out of the depression. No, I was right. I wrote it going into the depression. And everyone said to me in the studio, there was a guy called Richie Gold in the studio, and he was a tape op, you know, it was all on analog tape. And he said, oh, these are lovely. I love these chords. Oh, you know, I went through the song. He said, what's it called? He was hearing words, you know. He said, you're not calling it I Don't Believe in Miracles. I said, yeah. Because that's how my mindset was, you know. I didn't want to say I do believe it, because at that time I didn't. But it goes to show how your mindset can change, you know, as soon as and suddenly you can be one day be really black, and the next day you see the light, you know, and you know how it is. That's being human. And I said, no, I don't want to call it that, you know. And I thought this is going to stop this song being really big, because people want to believe in miracles. So I thought, even then, but I didn't change it. I wrote it as I Don't Believe in Miracles. I recorded it, I Don't Believe in Miracles. And Colin did it because I say, it's what I believed actually. I don't believe in miracles, but I thought you might show your face. I have the grace to tell me where you are. It's basically, I believe that was talking to a higher power up there. And it ends with, but I believe that somewhere there's someone who's going to light the way when things go wrong. The bullet that shot me down was from your gun. The words that turned me around were from your song. But I don't believe. So I'm sort of making up for it in the first words, basically trying to make up for it. I think I felt a bit guilty not believing in miracles.
I listened to what you've done right off the bat. Resurrection, you know, a rocker. The production is amazing to start off this project with me, and I'm going, man. And you do a lot of something that I love that isn't heard enough, is that soaring background vocals. Anyone who grew up in the era I grew up going, I want that. I want soaring songs, anthem-like tunes, driving songs, which you have a lot on here.
Yeah, well, I mean, I still love it. Like I loved it when I was 16. I still feel the same. And I usually go into the studio every day and I'm usually working. My fingers still work. I'm fit. I can run. I can still go out and do it. And I've got tours. I've got tours coming up, and it's magic. And it's such a gift to have this. To still now to be able to still use my fingers. A lot of my friends are ailing. There's problems. Having problems and stuff. And you speak to them and you think, well, yeah, try and get out there, do some meditation, get out there and run, do something, get out there and keep playing. And it's so important, I think we decide to get really old, I think. And I don't intend, if I do, whatever happens, life is life, but I don't intend to get old. As I know I'm aging and we're all age, but I don't think about it that much, to be honest.
Remember when I was going through my angst in the 80s after my divorce, I bought the book everyone was buying, M. Scott Peck, The Road Less Traveled. And in the beginning, he basically says life is difficult once I'm paraphrasing, once you truly get that. And I remember, in the beginning, a wisdom, or at the beginning, it's words. It's like you say to someone, remember I said that last year, where I really mean it now, because you're bringing it in and you're experiencing it. Can you pinpoint when you were starting to feel better? What made you change those?
Funny enough, talking about Dan Millman, when you know about Dan Millman, it was very similar, because I think when you've climbed Everest, I haven't climbed Everest, but I can imagine when you climb Everest, where is there to go if you're a climber? You get there. Dan Millman became the world champion gymnast when he was young.
Yep.
And from then on, he became depressed, because what do I do now? What is there in the world? You're eaten up with ambition to get somewhere, and you get to the top. But you say, well, at that time we had a hit record. It got to number 4, number 3 or whatever in Billboard. And we were touring. I should have been the happiest of my life, and I wasn't. And I just felt it went the other way. I just had this whoosh, this feeling of, probably if I'd had it now, I'd have a stroke or a heart attack or something. But then I didn't. It was just like, and it's fun enough. I was treated by a Christian, a doctor I think it was called a Christian Scientist or something. I don't know. And he thought it was sort of spiritual. He thought it was a spiritual. I don't know. All I know is that I grew from that coming out the other end.
Yeah.
And when you were talking about M. Scott Peck, he had so many. I love that book, and his great definition of love. Do you remember that great definition of love in that book? He said, it's all right. Love is always action. If it doesn't contain action, it's not love. And he says, love is the act. Though it's bigger than this, and he says in the book it's bigger than this, but he said it's the act of extending oneself for the purpose of nurturing one's own and or someone else's spiritual growth. You are what you repeatedly do. You have a mantra. When you have a mantra, Swami Niranananda, whatever, you do, you have a kind of a, just repeat it, because you are what you repeatedly do. If you want a bad habit, repeatedly do it. If you want a good habit, repeatedly do it. If you want to play guitar, go and practice and practice and practice. You might not be professional, but God, you'll have great times. If you haven't played piano, you want to give it a go, give it all a go, because this world is what a gift. We're in this world. We've been landed in this world. What a gift.
You were 14, and that special little band who backed up Cliff Richard. By the way, when I was talking to Randy Bachman, he and Neil Young, maybe 8 years ago, he and Neil Young were going to get on a plane and go see the Shadows play a special reunion thing they were doing.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that gig. Yeah.
And then I just talked to him a year ago, and I said, well, how did it go? He says, well, because he has a special needs son, Neil Young.
Okay.
He just went with, I think, his son, Tal, but and a great show, of course. But when you were writing that song, does that kid still live in you? Does that 14-year-old, is he still in you?
Funnily enough, I said, when I became a professional musician, I was 16, and I became a professional then, and that's all I've ever done. But I was a guitar player. I turned professional as a guitar player, and I was playing with the Outlaws. with that's before Richie Blackmore. That was a year before, and I didn't stay with them because I had a band with my brother. But I used to do gigs with the Outlaws, and then Richie joined the band. So I'm doing that again now because I know I'm going on tour, and I thought I'm going to pick up the guitar, and I've been saying to my lady here, I said, it's like being 16 again. Like just playing the guitar every day, picking up the guitar, learning solos and things, which I've never bothered to do. I go on stage and I wing it, but it's not the same as getting solos together. You know where the chord structures are, and you're moving to the chords, and you're sort of it's a wonderful feeling, you know. And I said I feel like doing when I was 16. I don't feel any different once I'm picking up the guitar and doing it. There's no age. If I usually write playing the piano, and there's no age, you know, when you're you're immersed, and you're immersed in a passion, and the passion, you know, when you do find a passion, and a lot of people don't find passion, when you do have a passion, the world makes sense. Sometimes the world doesn't make sense, and I can see why. If it doesn't make sense to me, why should it make sense to anybody else? Because it doesn't make sense when everyone's fighting, and there's been a war every year for 3,000 years somewhere in the world. That's documented. And you say, when you found a passion, yes, this makes sense now. You know, you can't get enough of it. Going to the studio to write a song, pick up the guitar, put a loop down, you know, put a bass on the loop, you know, and then put a keyboard down, put backing vocals, you talk of backing vocals down. It's all blissful, you know. You go in at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the morning, come out at 1 for lunch, feeling blissful. And it's still the same now, John, you know. It's the same as when I was a kid. You know, when I wrote in God Gave Rock and Roll to You, I thought about it today, actually. The idea I wrote in the song I wrote, and I was only 24 when I wrote it, but and if you're young, you'll never be old. Music can make your dreams unfold. How good it feels to be alive. But, you know, the same as you, if you ever suffer depression, and often we grow from depression, which I have done, I thought I was going to die every day for weeks and weeks and
You
months.
had it that bad. I had it quite a bit, but I never thought of that.
Oh, I did. But I never cancelled the gig. Even in the States, toured with Argent in the States in 72.
How did you do it?
I thought I wouldn't be able to go, but I was chatting to doctors. They gave me a bag full of pills, basically, you know. It was mainly Valium and Norbrium and those sort of things then, and Stelazine to get through. And I was taking it, but I was sort of, occasionally it was like having a nine month every day, a 9-month panic attack. That feeling of panic, I'm just about to panic. I get on the stage and I was fine. It's when I came off the stage I found it hard to do anything, basically. But I had great guys around me, Rod Argent, Bob Henry, and Jim Rodford at the time, and my friend Fred, who was our road manager. I had great friends around me, and it was wonderful, you know. But I thought this is going to be the end, and it never ever happened to me before. But every day, suddenly, after 9 months, strangely enough, it dissipated, and it gradually, and it's like coming into the light. It was like, I've said before, the sky was bluer, you know, the trees were greener, grass was greener, and you suddenly come out the other end. And you sort of grow from it. You realize, wow, I've survived that. And from then on, I grew, you know, and I'm much more now the organism I was when I was a kid. I was quite an extrovert when I was a kid, and I became an introvert, you know, very, very introverted. And and I didn't like it. I think you always realize there's another you in there, and I think we're always trying to get back to that. And you do get there with breathing. You can put all those things, they dissipate, and you can become more sane.
If you want to support the channel, you can make a PayPal donation. There's a link at the very top of the description. Also, join our Patreon. You'll get early access to our videos. Right now, there's tons of stuff that has not seen the light of day on our YouTube channels yet. It's all on our Patreon for like $6 and change. You can get access to all of it. Links in the description, or buy a t-shirt, a cap, a jacket with rock history music right there. People will think you're on staff. Links in the description. Subscribe to our channel, share our video, comment on them, and like them. It makes a big difference, and we always appreciate you being out there. Take good care of yourself. I'm John Bowden.